So, Fred Fleitz is back with us. He was talking with me a few minutes ago about Russia. Andrew Peek is also here this evening, former U.S. Army intelligence officer. And Rebecca Grant joins us, president of Iris Independent Research and a former Secretary of the Air Force official. Andrew, let me bring you in first on this. And, we'll see. We saw what North Korea did, or what they say they did, over the weekend. When we talk about their trading partners, I said we're really talking about China. We can bring up a chart and you'll see the numbers. It's like 90% or thereabouts. So we're not cutting off all trade with their trading partners, I don't believe, because China happens, Andrew, to also be our largest trading partner. However, and there you see the North Korean trading partners. It's China and everybody else. So what do we do here? We don't want to shoot ourselves too much in the foot, right, economically, but maybe we take a little bit of an economic hit and go after China some more. Andrew, what do you think?
No, I think that's true. I think there's Chinese trade violations that in general we overlook, things like intellectual property rights, because of the broader relationship we have with China. But those are certainly clear violations that we can crack down on if there's a pressing need that will hurt China and get us results in North Korea. But I have to say also, I think more broadly, this is a tremendous opportunity to delegitimize Chinese leadership in Asia and bolster our allies without China being able to push back too hard. You know, the source of, and the Trump administration's already said, we're going to sell advanced weapons to South Korea and Japan and maybe position them for leadership role in the next century.
Well, that's interesting. What do you think of that, Rebecca, that, hey, we could go after the Chinese in terms of, as Andrew says, they're standing in the world and say, hey, what are you going to do about it? And we'll bolster our allies in the process. Would that work?
Well, we have to, obviously, we have got our ironclad agreements with our allies. But the question about China, the U.S. and China are rivals. We're going to face that down the road. But what I see here in relation just to North Korea is good cop, bad cop. Trump is being bad cop, letting China try to be good cop. So he's just goosing them a little bit and saying, hey, we might relook some of our trade if you guys don't keep that pressure on. I see good cop, bad cop continuing this time.
Okay, and pretty much, before I go to Fred, Rebecca, the same situation continuing, just a stalemate where we don't see anything really happen. Is that your point?
No, I think a lot is happening. I actually think this is going pretty well.
Okay.
We're seeing a lot of action from North Korea. It is very scary, but remember, Russia, China, the UN is still 100% lined up. I'm real impressed with the South Koreans. They have said, let's use maximum diplomatic and military pressure. So it's scary, but I think this is all moving in the right direction.
You agree with that, Fred, that things are, as much as we could expect anyway, going, as Rebecca says, pretty well, or what do you think?
Well, I hope she's right, because we certainly haven't used maximum economic and diplomatic pressure. As I explained a few minutes ago, there are things that China has to agree to. And my view is that this test was deeply embarrassing to President Xi on a day when he was sponsoring a very important summit in Beijing and was meeting with President Putin in Beijing. This was a slap in the face to the Chinese leader.
He was sitting there with Putin when it all happened. I mean, what if there's another one, Andrew, which everybody seems to think there very well may be, right, by the end of the week? What's the U.S. And our allies' reaction to that? Is there any movement maybe to shoot a missile down? How do you think we react later in the week if it happens?
I think there certainly could be an issue of shooting a missile down. You know, that's kind of the next step, because that would, of course, put U.S. operational assets in direct confrontation and conflict with North Korean assets. I think that would be the kind of strategic decision that is unlikely to be made in just a week's time. I think you are more likely to see more tough talk and an increased push at the UN, just like at the end of July when there was last a crisis at the UN that we got the sanctions resolution passed, for a new, more comprehensive, perhaps anti-Chinese resolution up there.
And for what it's worth, China and Russia, they signed on. We'll watch. I mean, some of that was supposed to have started today, but thanks to all three of you. We appreciate it.